Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ava. If you are new, welcome to my channel. If you are not new, welcome back to this video. Today we are going to cover a topic I would like to talk about, and that is confrontation. And so I will be explaining what confrontation means, why it is important, and what we should do when we face it. I'm just going to be covering some things about confrontation. So first, what is confrontation? Confrontation is when you are being faced with the truth, when you are being faced with an accusation, when you are being asked something, for example, but like you have no time to think about it. You don't even have time to think about your answer. We are covering that type of confrontation today. I think as a Christian, like even if you're not a Christian, but especially when you are a Christian, confrontation is important, and I'm going to explain why. See, when you are able to be confronted, you will accept the fact that you are being confronted, right? Or to confront another person, you don't get angry when you are being confronted. You are humbling yourself. Because if I committed a sin, right? Or if I did something wrong and then a friend of mine comes up to me, confronts me about the situation, right? At first I'll be shocked, right? I will feel nervous because what am I supposed to say now? Like, I know I did it, but I don't want to tell you. So I am forced to give an answer. After it has happened, it gives me a wake-up call. If I committed a sin that a friend of mine is able to confront me about, then how would God look at me in such a situation? That means that, okay, if a physical person is able to really, open up to me and tell me that what I did was wrong, that means that God is basically speaking through that person to me. Maybe God has tried to speak to me by himself, but I didn't listen, or I didn't want to listen. Maybe I ignored God. That means that God has given me chances. I didn't take them. God is going to bring someone I can compare myself with. Human being, a girl, a Christian, for example, right? So confrontation, it is important because it makes you reflect on your actions. Because like when you get confronted, you don't have to see it as a shame. You don't have to see it as a disgrace, but that's what it can look like. I would rather be confronted by just one friend than to be confronted in front of a whole group, for example. But those things can still happen. And it can be surprising at first. It can come as like, oh, I'm being put to shame. And later you look back at the situation, you begin to realize, okay, actually, this was my fault. This was nobody else's fault. If I didn't do this, I didn't I wouldn't have to be confronted about it, and I wouldn't be put to shame about it. So confrontation is for you to get back into reality because you committed the sin and you decided to completely ignore it. You didn't ask for mercy, nothing. You just washed your hands off of the sin. You are not living in the reality because God is still alive, right? And he can do everything. God could have chosen to do anything to you, right? He can basically take your life away, take anything away from you, right? But he decided to confront you with your sin. He decided to confront you with your action. Like when we look at Jesus, his disciples, they were constantly being confronted. Constantly. Why? They made it happen. Because they decided to become followers of God, they decided to get out of their comfort zone, and that's why they were constantly being confronted for their actions, being confronted for the words they say, being confronted for how they act, because they know that what they do is right and how some of the other people in that time lived was wrong. And so you can see confrontations from both ways, because the disciples of Jesus, they went out into the midst of people to confront them about their actions, and it bounced back on them, you know, because now they got confronted by those people, or by the leaders of the community in that time, right? The Pharisees and all those religious people. And so they got confronted too with things as, why do you think you're better than us? Why do you think your theory about everything is better than ours? But instead of giving up at those moments, they did not. If you read the Bible, you can see how many times the disciples of Jesus Peter, John, Luke, Matthew, how all of those people, they got confronted, they got killed for their actions, everything, but they didn't give up. They gave up when they died. That is how hard the truth can be. When you know the truth, right? And you don't want anybody else to perish because of ignorance. You want to do everything possible to share that truth with every single soul you know. It might cost you a lot of things, but one thing people will never forget is your effort. People have seen your actions, people have seen your works, right? It doesn't matter whether they disagreed with you, whether they accused you, whether they persecuted you. There's going to be a moment in their life when they're going to be like, oh, this is what this person said. Oh, right, that's what that person said. So those things are going to come back to their minds, because the truth will set you free, and the truth will always persecute you. Once you know the truth, you realize that what you heard is the truth. It will always be somewhere in your mind, somewhere. Now, when we look at the life of our Lord Jesus Christ, the way that he lived, Jesus was also, of course, just like his disciples, he was also constantly being confronted. For Jesus, that was his comfort zone. Jesus made stepping out of his comfort zone his comfort zone. Jesus was comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so when we look at the way that Jesus lived, that is the perfect example for us. Jesus became comfortable with being uncomfortable. He was constantly being accused, constantly being asked questions, constantly being confronted. But he never gave up. Jesus was tempted by the devil because the devil knew what Jesus was going through. The devil had the guts to confront Jesus about his hunger. Like, who asked him? But what I love so much is that Jesus never gave up. Jesus had a purpose, and he knew his purpose, and that was his goal. Jesus was constantly focused on that goal. And that is why he didn't allow the confrontations to weigh him down. If you allow confrontations to weigh you down, you are not humble enough yet. You are not broken enough yet. When it comes to the presence of God, you have to be broken. You have to be humble. A broken and a contrite heart, God would not despise. So everybody, I hope that this message encouraged you and also gave you a new insight and more information. And let us all remember that it is very important to live like our examples, Jesus Christ, his disciples, the people that did well in the Bible. We have to follow them, and God will bless us for our effort. Thank you so much for watching this video again, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.